Good morning everyone. Welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with the same module, that is a web application development, and the same chapter, that is session number 3, that is how to use the data type or how to view the document. So let's start with the previous class lesson. In the last class we have studied about the Cold Fusion ML, that is a CFMLL, that is a Cold Fusion markup language, that are following component. And the last class we have discussed some components of the CFML. For example, we have started with the data type, we have started with the variable, expression, control statement, and the other component. So we have discussed each and every component in detail in the last class. So let's start with these components in detail again, or we can say the brief overview of these components. So let's start the session. So in the last class we have started with the data type. So what is data type? What type of data we are using in the markup language, that is a CFML, that contains these types of languages or these type of data that is supported by the CF, that is boolean, string, numbers, date, time, list, array, structure, query object, component object. Then there are variables. So there are three aspects in which we can use the variable. So session number 3 is the web market research. How to how to research in the market, or how to research the marketplace, that is the web market research. That is how to research on the market, or how to research on the web market, that is which tool is suitable for the web, which tool is not, what are the various options that is used in the web resource. So that is a session number 3, that is a web market resource. So there is the introduction first of all. So this says our next dynamic web application is a design and implementation of the hypothetical market. That is how to use hypothetical market research on the web. That is the next part, that is session number 3. That is how to design and implement the hypothetical market research on the web. And you will find the visual web pages as the illustrations. There are multiple web pages that is available, that is used as the illustrations. And at the end of the session you will also find a link to the implemented session application example. So there is also example, that is a live example, that is given at the end of the session, at the end of this session number 3. That is a implemented session application example is available at the end of the session, that is session number 3. So let's start with the market research. What is the meaning of market research, and how to implement and design a hypothetical market research on the web, right? So the first part is a market research. So does the order of links on a page have any influence on the selection by the user? So this is a question that arises. So if there is any link that is available, that is used on a page, that have any influence on the selection by the user, this question have appeared in several connections. So there are multiple parts or multiple connections by which we can use this, or by which we can relate this market research question with this connections. One way to approach an answer to this question is to design a web experiment. So one of the method, one of the way that is used to design of this question or answer to this question is to design a web experiment, that is a market research. Now assume that a market research company is trying to measure the public preferences of two competing product, that is A and B. So this is one of the example that one of the market research company is trying to measure the public preferences. So this company wants to make the public preferences of either or two competing objects, for example projects or product that is used, that is A and B, and the company designs a web form. So there is a web form that is designed that contain two radio buttons, the upper for the product A and the lower for the product B. So there are two radio buttons in this web form. What are the two radio buttons that is used in this web form? That is the upper for the product A and the lower for the product B, by which the visitors can express his or her preferences for one of the products. So by which the visitors can access or can give their preferences on his or her preferences on his or her product. For example, if the user wants a product A, then the user also gives a product A provision that is used. So user can access the product A, that is a part of the web form that contains two radio buttons, that is upper for the product A and the lower for the product B, by which the visitor can express his or her preferences. So if the visitor wants A, then he or she can select on the product or button A, radio button A, and if or he wants a product B, then he or she can choose the product B radio button. That is the next part, that is below the product A, right? And from experience, the market researchers know that the ordering of the A and B on the form may have an effect. So if there is any effect on preferences that is available on the A and B, and that the preference may not be persistent. So if there is any preference that may not be persistent with the market research. Next line says two identical forms are there for design. So there are two forms that is designed, one for the visitors that opt for the product A, one for the visitors that opt for the product B. So one is called the form 1, that has a product A listed first. The other is called the form 2. So one is a form 1, one is a form 2. And the form 1 has a product A that is listed first, and the order that next one is the form 2 that has a product B listed first. That means there are two forms, one for the product A, one for the product B. Form 1 is used for the product A, and the form 1 is 2 is used for the product B. Now a script is designed for the random selection of the form. So there is a script that is available for the random selection of the form that is to be displayed for each visitor. So if the visitor wants to display the result, that is displayed for the each visitor, that is a random selection of the form. Is asked to request a second form in a week. So that is, the visitor is also requested to ask or requested to for visitors of the, or we can say the second form in a week, that is required for the week. And the second form is another random selection of one of the form. So this is one of the random selection that is used one of the form. And to attract the customers to the website, a lottery is used. Lottery is set up for the persons completing the two forms. So the lottery is generated for completing the two forms. That is how to use the or use the lottery system for the product A and the product B. That means there is a lottery, that means a chit will be coming out, that is which product is better, and no name or address are required for completing the forms. There is no name required, that is for use for the completing the forms. And to participate in the lottery drawing, the participants must however send in a separate form known as the form 3. So to participate in the lottery drawing, so if there is a lottery drawing that is used, the participant must however send a separate or sends in a separate form. So there is a separate form that is sent out, that is known as the form 3, with their name and the address. And the condition for participation in the lottery is that two forms with preferences were written. So this is one of the lottery system, that is a market research, that is how to research the market, that is what is the requirement of the users, what the users need for their preferences. So what the users needs for their preferences, that is given by the market research system that is used for the market research. So whenever there is a lottery system that is used, that is known as a market research for the market options. Now application outline. Figure 1 is an outline of the system. So this is outline of the system or market research system. So the first part that is available is a client, then request the form response. So this is figure 1 is the outline of the system that we want to implement. The numbers that indicates the flow in the system for each form requested. So that the number that is given, that is 1 2 3 4, these are the number given, that is showing that how the request will be transferred from the client to the server, and the server to the client. The challenge will be to find a way to connect the submitted preference form to the anonymous participant. So what that is the main challenge, that is to find a way to connect the submitted preferences forms to the anonymous participants. Further, if a participant is willing to unveil his or her name to participate in the lottery, another solution must be developed to check that the person has answered the two required forms. This is one of the participant that is used to unveil the condition, or this is one of the condition that is used, so that the person must be or must not write their name to participate in the lottery system, that is used for the selection of the delivery, that is used to develop the check that the person has answered the two required forms. So this is the one, that is a client requests the form response, then it is going to the server. So there is a client that requested for the form, that is going to the web server, that is used for the preparation and the selection, that is web server prepare and select the forms. Now there are three forms that is generated, for example form 1, form 2, form 2. So there are three forms, that is the form 1, form 2 and the form 3. Then it is again going to the web server. So first of all, client, then there is a request, then request going to the web server, then web server prepare the or the select the forms, that is select the forms either from the three forms, select one of the form, that is form 1, form 2 and the form 3. Then after selecting the form, that is going back to the web server, and from the web server it is going to the form cookie. So there is a form cookie that is generated. Then after the form cookie, it is again going back to the client. Then client give again a request for the form response, then again to the web server, then the save the response and the save the time. So first of all, it is requested for the form, then after filling the form, the client again send back the form to the web server, then server send the or submit the saved responses, or submit the responses whatever they filled in the form by their name, and save the name and save the responses. That means first of all, they or the user fetch the form from the server, that is a blank form, and after filling the form, it is or he or she again submitted a form to the server, and that is a request form response, that is again going back to the server. So one is the client, then request the form response, then there is a web server, then there is a preparation selection, then there is the three forms, that is form 1, form 2, form 3, then again going back to the web server, then from the web server there is a form cookie, then there is again the client, then request form response, then there is a web server, then save response, save name. So this is outline of the market research system, that is outline of the market research system that is used with the figure 1. Now, how to implement this, that is how to implement this diagram, or how to implement these, we can say the response request time that is used with the client and the server. So first is the implementation. So the first step is to establish a subfolder within which we will keep the applications. That is the first step that is used to establish a subfolder within which we will keep the application. So there is a subfolder that is established to keep the application. The application.cfm, that is a application.cfm, that is a code fusion markup. The capital A is important only if you are working on a web server installed on the platform using Linux or Unix. That means the first character, that is the application, has a first character A, that is capital, only in the case of the Linux or the Unix. Template must be saved in this folder. Recall that the content of this template is valid for the whole application, that is for all the templates in the same subfolder. So there is a subfolder that is used for the templates. So recall that this template is valid for the whole application, that is for all the templates in the same subfolder, that is keeping up the folder template in the same subfolder. The application template for the market research application look like this. So this is the application.cfm, that is the application template that is used. That is the application.cfm. So first of all, there is a use, that is a CF, that is a Cold Fusion application name. So what is the name of the Cold Fusion? That is a market research. So this is the name of the Cold Fusion, that is a market research. So this is the name of the Cold Fusion, that is the application name, that is a market research. Then the next part is the session management, that is yes. So this is CF application name. Then there is a session management, that is yes. Then there is a session timeout. So one is a session management, that session is managed, there is a yes. Then there is a session timeout, that is hash create time span 0030 hash, that is creating the time span that is available with the time span, that is a 0030, that is available with the time span. So that is a create time span 0030. Then set client cookie, there is yes, that is a set client cookie, there is a yes condition. Then CF set session dot path, that is a C my applications market research, there is a session dot path that is used, that is setting the path, that is generating the path that have a what is the main path that is generated with the CF set, that is a C my application market research. So the application CFM has a two tags in addition to the name, that is comment tag. So there is a two tags that is in addition to the name comment tag. The CF application tag specifies three attributes. So there are three attributes of the CF application. Then session management permits the use of the session variable that having the scope comprising all the templates in the application. So that permits the use of the session variable. There are multiple session variable that is used that have multiple scope that comprises all the elements or templates in the application. So that the session management, that is yes, that means maintaining the session variable, maintaining the sessions that contain in the template in the application, but are limited to the session time span by means of function that is the create time span. So this is a function that is created, that the create time span. There is a days, then hours, then minutes, then seconds. So that means 0 0, then there is a 30 minutes, then again the seconds is also 0. That means the session will be timed out after 30 minutes. That is after half an hour, that session will be timed out. The time span for each market research session variable is limited to 30 inactive minutes. That is, if you leave your computer for 29 minutes, it will still remember your session variable. That means it will carry it out till 30 minutes, that is like till half an hour. And after half an hour, it will vanish out automatically. But before half an hour, it will not automatically vanish. If you leave, then it will also remember your session variable. However, because we ask the visitor to come back in a week, we need a technique for recognizing a client when he submitted the second and the third time. So whenever the client has submitted the first and the third time, or the second and the third times, and how it is used, so there is a technique that is generated for recognizing a client, and we have several options. In this application, we use the cookies. So there are the second and the third time form that is generated, and there is an option. There are several options that is used for the application, and for this we have used the cookies. That is a cookie. What is a cookie? That is a identification invisible for the user. So cookie is a file that has contains the records whatever we search on the internet, that is maintained in the cookie. So this is a file that is a part of the cookie that contains, or that is invisible for the user, which the server sends a client when respond to the request. So whenever there is a response to the request, so when the server sends a request or client to the request, and when which the client, if willing, saves in a special file. That means the server, or the we can say the client, saves in a invisible file, or there is a file that is saved, that is a cookie. So cookie maintains the records of each and every concept that we search for the internet. So cookie, what is a cookie? That is a file that contains whatever we browse, whatever we think, or whatever we search on the internet, that is the history of the internet, that is a cookie. Next time the client makes a request to the server that issued the cookie identifier will be attached to the request. So first of all, the next time whenever we are requesting or made a request to the server that issued the cookie, this cookie identifier will be attached to the request, and the server will know from which client the request will send. That is, from which know, or from the server will know the from which the client will request the cookie, because cookie maintain each and every instruction. So that is the use of the cookie. So this is set client cookie is equal to yes, that's why it is setting the cookie, or it is using the cookie. So use of cookies require that the client has a browser able to receive the cookies, and that his browser is set to receive the cookies. This technique is useful if the client must be identified over a time period longer than a session. Setting the cookies require the third attribute, that is the set client cookie, that is yes, in the CF application tag. Note that the set client cookies also influence the persistency of the session variables. Read carefully what RRB write in the chapter number 7, that is the next part. Now finally, the line number 6 specifies in the CF set tag a session variable containing the path to a folder in which we want to store the data. That is a CF set session path, that is what is the main path by which we can set the data, that is this is a path, that is a my application, then market research. So this tags session contains a folder in which we want to store the data. For example, if you want to save the data in the subfolder market research within the folder my applications, the value of the session.path in the application.cfm will be this one. In all the templates, you can use the session path instead of the longer this one. So you can also use the session.path that is available with this one, that is the session.path. There is a hash that is included, that means the same as compared to the whole in the long path, that is the C my application then market research. This is also very effective technique if you develop your applications on one computer with a directory structure that differs from that of the web server on which the application finally will be published. So finally the cookie will be generated, the cookie will be setting out within the longer file, within the longer path. We recall the rule that the entrance templates to the application should be named index.cfm to prevent the unwanted browsing of the folder if the browsing option has been not been turned off. And the current application, that is index.cfm, is an information in the menu template. So this is one of the information that is available in the menu template. This has a different coding. This coding I will discuss, or I am discussing after the break. So let's take a break for 10 minutes, then come back after 10 minutes and discuss these codings. Okay, so let's take a break. Coming back from break, and Larry has also arrived. So let's start the session again. So next session is the next coding, that is the index.cfm. That is what is the main coding that is used with the code fusion markup, that is the index.cfm, that is used in this one. So we recall that the rule that the entrance template to applications that should be named as index.cfm to prevent the unwanted browsing of the folder if the browsing option has not turned off. And in the current application, index.cfm is an information and the menu template. So there is a index.cfm that is used with the menu template that is used with this one. So this is a coding that is generated with this one. So this is the index.cfm. So that is h2. Then there is a h2, that is a header 2, that is a heading 2, that is available in the large big font, that is a heading 2. Then font color equals to red. So whatever the displayed that is displayed in the red color. Then there is a market research. So that is a market research that is in the red color, that is used as a market research. Then P, that is simply the paragraph tag that is used, that is a P tag. So this is the market research to investigate the public preferences for the product A and the product B. That means it will display as it is. That is the if we this is the market research, this is the paragraph. So we write the paragraph within the P tag. This is the market research to investigate the public preferences for the product A and the product B. If you respond and complete the requirements stated below, you will be eligible to participate in a lottery. That means if you respond and complete the requirements stated below, you will be eligible to participate in the lottery system. You will be eligible to participate in the lottery. That is a P tag, that is completion of the P tag. Then again there is a P, that the requirements are. So what is the main requirement? So the requirements are again the P. So this is also a paragraph. This is also a paragraph. Then there is a OL. So the requirements are, what is the main requirement? That is the LI. So this is a listing tag. Remember the HTML, we use the OL tag, ordered list, and the LI tag, that is a listing. Whatever we need, that is a listing tag that is available in this one. That is a LI. Then request, complete, and submit. Then request, complete, and submit. This is one of the list, and that list will be we can say the link together with the questionnaire one. So there is a questionnaire one that is linked with the prepare.cfm. So whenever we click on the questionnaire one, that then we directly jump to the prepare.cfm. Then there is a tag that is displayed with the help of the a tag, that is anchor tag. This is a closing of the a tag. Then this is a today. Then there is a li, that is li will be closed. That is a request, complete, and submit questionnaire 1. And questionnaire 1 has a, we can say, the hyperlink that is used with the ahref. Then there is a will be closed. Then there is a today. That means it will display request, complete, and submit the questionnaire 1 today. Then request, submit, complete, and submit the questionnaire 2 in a week. That means questionnaire 2 has a link that is again going back to the prepare.cfm. Then again the third list, that is a request, complete, and submit the questionnaire 3 after you have submitted the questionnaire 2. That means this is displayed in the paragraph in the same line, but the questionnaire 3 has hyperlink that is again going back to the form 3.cfm. Then the OL will be closed. That means this is the OL, that is the ordered list, in which there is a 1 2 3 4, that is a listing is available, that is 1 2 3 4 and so on. That is displayed with the help of the OL tag, that is the ordered list. That means 1 2 3 4, not in the bullet format. Then the 10th line, that is used again the P, the second or the second first questionnaire requires only a single selection and click before you submit the response. The third questionnaire asks you for the email address for the notification in case you become a lucky winner in the lottery. The market research sets a cookie in your browser. It's a time bound and automatically detected after the 15 days. So this is printed as it is. So this is the output of this one. First of all, there is a market research that we give in the H2 tag. So there is a market research that is of the red color font. Then this is a market research that is of the high font, that is a market research. Then this is used with the paragraph, that is this is a market research, and to investigate the public preferences for the product A and B. Then the requirements are. Then these are the requirement, and this is the hyperlink. When you click on this hyperlink, you can directly jump to the prepare.cfm. Then this is the next paragraph, that is the second questionnaire and the third questionnaire. This is the we can say the explanation of this second and the third questionnaire, that is the paragraph, second paragraph. Then this is the last paragraph, that is this is available within this one. Now, as our listing shows, this template would have passed a HTML file since it contains no CFMX tag. So there is this is the HTML file because there is no CFMX tags that is used in this coding, that is whatever the coding that we have discussed. So there is no HTML or there is no CFMX tag, but this tag or this code only contains the HTML tags. Now we are given an extension, that is the next part, that is how to use the CFM text or how to use the form 1 and the form 2, that is the prepare.cfm. Now first of all, there is a CF set, that is a temp equals to randomize second now. That means the temp equals to randomize function will be used for the random function. Then CF set selected number equals to rand range, that means the random range is available as a 1 or the 2. So first of all, the temp variable is used to store the randomized function. Then selected number is used to store the random range, that is 1 and the 2. Then CF if, that is the if loop will be used, or if part will be used, that is the if statement will be used, that is a hash selected number hash eq1, that is the selected number. If the selected number is equals to the 1, then give to the location, then go to the CF location, that is the URL equals to form.cfm. So if the user entered or select the number as a 1, then directly jump to the URL, directly jump to the path, that is the form1.cfm. Then the CF else. Otherwise, if the selected number is not equals to 1, then go to the URL, that is the form2.cfm. So if the location or if the selected number is 1, then go to the form1.cfm. If the selected number is not equals to 1, that is again other than the 1, then use the form or use the URL, that is the form2.cfm. Then the CF if will be closed. So each time a pseudo random algorithm is started, it needs a seed. If the seed is the same, the sequence on the random number will also be the same for all the application. That is the randomized function. That is the second, and then there is a now. So randomize in the line 2 is a mathematical CFMX function that instructs the server to plant the initial seed based on the initial or internal server clock. So there is the internal server clock that is setting out, that is displaying the output as a form 1, form 2, and the URL of the form 1 and the form 2. The next So randomize in the line 2 is a mathematical CFMX function that instructs the server to plant an initial seed based on the internal server clock. So there is a randomize function in the line 2 that will generate, that is how to use the randomize function, or how to use the or how to generate the code in the CFMX that instructs the server to plant an initial seed, to plant a perfect or the initial seed, so that the plant will grow in an effective manner. The next function, that is a rand range lowest highest in the line 3. So there is a rand range, that is a random range, that is the highest and the lowest. Sorry, lowest and the highest. So the lowest value is 1 and the highest value is 2. In the line 3, that generates a pseudo random integer in the range between the lowest and the highest parameter values, in our case that is either 1 or 2. Now lines 4 to 3 represent the if else block that we have studied, that if the selected number is equals to 1, it is true, then the form 1 is selected, otherwise the form 2 is selected. The form 1 and form 2 CFM generate the code in the figure 9. So that is the preference for the code. That is, please mark the preferences either by comparing the two prefer, that is product A and the product B. Now this is the next, that is how to generate the figure number 3, that is how to maintain the figure number 3. This figure or this coding I will discuss in the next class, that is the form number 3. So that's all for today's session. And if there is any doubt in the today's session or any other doubts, you can ask the doubts. And the next class, I am taking your next topic, or that is how to use the form number 3, or what is the main coding of the form number 3, how to generate the radio buttons. All right. So that's all for